I'm Audrey Bignell, the knee Hancock, and I lived here since 1931, the year I was born. My family moved here in 1930. Is that good enough?
Mm-hmm.
Don't want anything else.
Okay, Darlene. Ask her questions.
Who were your parents?
Florence and Sydney Hancock. We moved here from the city in 1930, so.
From Edmonton?
And where did I grow up? Wabamun.
Yeah.
Till I was 16.
16?
Yeah. Got a job in the city then. I went to town.
So, what grade did you finish?
Grade 9.
Grade 9? Yeah, because that's all there was here.
Yeah. What else do you have here?
So, how about your sisters, brothers? Do you have any?
My brothers were Ken, Dick, and Gordon. And my sisters were Marge, Edna, Elaine, and Nell.
There was 8 of you? 8 of you in the family.
Reason for coming to Wabamun? Well, I came because I was born after they moved here, but my dad lost his business in the city and
That was right after the Depression, wasn't it? Yeah.
Went bankrupt. So they moved out here. I don't know why they came to Wabamun, but they did.
What did he do when you came out here? Like
Well,
what?
he was a pensioner from the First World War.
Oh,
He's
okay.
crippled. And he had a big garden he sold to the summer people. And we kept a cow, and a couple of cows actually. And,
Develop all the pictures for everybody.
what?
You used to develop all the pictures people took.
Just ourselves. You keep out of it unless you know what you're talking about. We didn't farm. It was impossible. We had a quarter section. What was our home like? It was a shack to begin with, and Dad fixed it up after we moved in. Otherwise, I don't think I could have lived in it. So. Back in those days, there wasn't much money to spend on fancy homes. Our neighbors were Bob and Barbara White. Bob died in 1938 with the diphtheria. So they're Barbara and the kids. People in the kitty corner to our place changed so often I couldn't tell you who they were. Who were the first ones? Do you remember the first ones? You wouldn't remember them, but the name. I forget it. That was almost 80 years ago.
75 years.
Sources of light, water, and we heated with coal and wood, chiefly wood. We got our water from the spring across the road, and it was a long way to carry it. And it was so hard that soap curdled in it. And we lit with coal oil lamps. There were no other family members here.
What do you remember about the school?
Well, it was grade 1 to 4 was in the hall, the old hall, and 5 to 9 was in the what we called the big school at that time. Mrs. Andrews was teacher for grade 1 to 4. She was a really nice lady. Her husband had the garage across the street, Charlie. And that's about all I can remember.
Do you remember Mrs. Sunday? Was she your
Yes,
teacher?
I definitely remember Mrs. Sunday. Who wouldn't? She was a good teacher. The year she retired, we had Miss Moody, and I think she was too much a lady to take over the school because the boys gave her a terrible time.
Normal.
Anyways, enough said about that. What business were in operation before 1980? Everything here and then a few. Railroad, Arctic Ice. Alec worked on the Arctic Ice Cup for 1 or 2 winters. post office, I don't know, Henry White. Henry? Was it Henry White?
Henry White.
Yeah.
No, Harry White.
Harry.
Harry.
He had the post office and the store. And
Which one was that? Was that
That's
where
one
the
right
red
down-
and white used to be?
Yeah, before the red and white. Telephone was down here. The office was here up till what, about 15, 20 years ago.
Mhm.
Hilda Majerison was a telephone operator, and if you wanted to make a phone call, you went there to make it. This is way back.
That's okay.
Barber shop, McIntosh had the barber shop, I think, and a pool hall and a place where they sold candy and such. Trading Post, Wabamun Trading Post was owned by Bambers when I knew them. I don't know whether they built it or not. Hotel was Walker's, so I remember it. And then numerous ones afterwards whose names I don't remember.
Mhm.
Dumont's amongst.
Yeah.
Cafe, that was in the hotel. I don't remember.
Was there a cafe in the red and white store too?
No, post
Or
office.
did they?
The post office was in
Post
the
office.
red and white store.
So they didn't
What?
have any kind of a restaurant there or a coffee counter or
Not to
anything?
my mind. To my memory, there may have been. I don't remember a lot of these things. I didn't take part in a lot of these things. So. There wasn't a drugstore. You went to Stony for your drugs. Stockyards, not that I remember. And I can't remember, were there any other businesses here that I've forgotten? You probably know more about it than I do. I remember the 1st of July picnics. They were always the highlight of the year. New Year's Eve, never had anything to do, I stayed home. Don't know much about the games or recreation things. Never skated or played any of the other games.
Did you belong to a girls' club or anything?
No.
There was
That
no.
came out, well, my sisters did. The Mr. Cattell, the minister of the Anglican Church, started a girls' club and a boys' club.
Mhm.
They were well attended by everybody in the country. There was another, I guess I did belong to one, but what was it? We met up in, above the trading post, with Bamboo store. But I can't remember what we did. Sewing maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Probably
That's
like a
long
girls'
time ago,
club.
and my mind is not what it used to be. What you remember about transportation? The roads were gravel, the highway was gravel. Transportation was by local train or bus.
Was there a bus service then?
Yeah, it was
Greyhound.
same one. It's a vanilla Greyhound, but it was much smaller. I think they used to come down here, at least they did for a while. We got picked up at Wabamun Corner. Sidewalks, well, they were cinder, you know, there was gravel or something on them, but they weren't.
They weren't wooden?
Yeah.
I think they were wooden.
There were a few wooden,
Yeah.
some were one way and some the other. The thing that amuses me most is walking down the main street trying to place all the houses I know were on it. It seemed much bigger than it is not today.
You think so?
It was.
Or it had more
It
houses?
seemed like it.
Yeah.
It's a tennis court
Yeah.
beside the.
Did you play tennis?
No, my sisters did though. I didn't do any of these fancy things. Doctors and ambulance.
Why didn't you?
We just went into it. By that time, I don't think anybody was using the tennis court.
Yeah.
I know a few times we went out in a boat on the lake. It's lucky we didn't hold around because it leaked, and so we had to bail it all the time. We went over to what's Garapi Point now? It's whatever it's called.
Garapi, or is that Point Allison?
Point Allison.
Oh, is that Garapi Point?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
he is
Garapi
the
was
one that-
named for the Garapi family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where was I here? Doctors and ambulances. The doctor came out once a week. Well, Dr. Carthy was here, I think, years before my memory. And then Dr. Jesperson came once a week.
Mm-hmm.
As far as ambulance is concerned, you found somebody to drive you in.
Who did Danny mention?
Oh, wait.
No, there was another one.
Was that doctors?
Yeah. He said he had big feet.
I never looked
Came
at
out
any of my
to-
doctor's feet, but
Mm-hmm.
who maintained the policing? As far as I know, Mr. Scuttle and the RCMP from Stoney were called in when it was necessary, which wasn't too often. As I remember, Dad was JP for a few years. That's how I got to know some of the policemen,
Mm-hmm.
RCMP. What was policing like? Policing. I don't know. It was.
Yeah, that was probably when you were here.
I
That's
didn't
who
have
was-
much to do with that, except get
No, you
stay out of the way of
you were a
Mr.
good
Scuttle.
girl.
Well, us kids would come down here at night and try and stay out of Mr. Scuttle's way. It wasn't hard. What were the churches in Wabamun? And, well, I was raised in the Anglican church, which is the restaurant over here. But after I married Alec,
Who is the reverend when you were going to the Anglican church? Was it Colin Cattell?
Colin could tell, just trying to think of the name of the minister who would see that baptized me. I should be able to, but it's gone.
She remember it when she gets home.
Yeah, 3 o'clock tomorrow morning. I always got remember all these things. No, we went. Alec was United, so we kind of kids were raised halfway in between. And what churches? What telephone system like? Well, I always talked about the telephone system for all. We never had a telephone all the time we lived here, and we came back after we were married. But, my brother was in the Air Force during the war,
The Second World War.
Second World
Yeah.
War, yeah. I could say Dad was in the First World War. And my vivid memories of Wabamun are not very exciting. Playing hooky.
Did you enjoy Wabamun when you were growing up?
Oh yeah, Wabamun was my home.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything like this. I mean, it's a pretty small village compared to
Yeah.
what it is now. But I don't know, it was home and we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We'd walk down when we had spare time. We might walk down to the trestle and walk across the trestle. If the train come along, we got in the ash barrels on the side. They weren't big trains like now. And,
Boy, you'd have been shaking there.
oh, it shook. The old trestle. And we'd go down to Moonlight Bay, play hooky and go down to Moonlight Bay occasionally. That was actually when I was in grade 9. Old enough to know better.
Well, that was your last year in school, so you had a right to do that. Yeah.
Well, they didn't think so, but I didn't like the teachers. Got away with it. But and otherwise, for fun, we just walked.
Yeah. And you went to Edmonton to work,
Mm-hmm.
and then when did you get married?
1950.
1950.
Yeah.
And you moved back to Wabamun?
About in 52.
Oh, 52 we came back out.
When he found whatever he could for jobs at 1st,
Mhm.
and then when the plant started, he worked on that. And if you want any information about that, you ask him, not me.
Do you have any children?
No,
Yes.
of course, I've got 4 and 18 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren.
Oh,
Oh.
wonderful. Wonderful.
And that's the story of my life. Boring, wasn't it?
No, very interesting.